Heidi K. Berg, H-E-I-D-I, last name is Berg, B-E-R-G. U.S. AFRICOM, I'm the Director of Intelligence at J2. So the Women's Peace and Security Seminar is a key aspect for U.S. AFRICOM that we look to promote women's issues across Africa. We do this through a variety of different means, whether it's the communication seminars that take place, the all-female basic intelligence course that we run, as well as a variety of other interactions to raise gender issues on the continent. The importance of these seminars that we are hosting down in Burkina Faso is it raises the importance of women's participation in security institutions, their formal participation across the spectrum of conflict. We have studies that prove that outcomes are better when we get greater rates of women's participation across the spectrum of conflict, both in conflict prevention as well as negotiations, in the reduction of violence during conflict, and in peacekeeping. The U.S. ambassador wanted to have a separate event that really highlighted the role of women in the Women's Peace and Security Initiative as part of Flintlock 2019. As we look as the special operations exercise is taking place, it raises the importance of women in both diffusing this conflict as well as creating the environment in which an enduring peace can survive. So during the Senior Leaders Seminar, we have woven themes about women's participation in the security sector and women's roles in both peace and security, both in engaging at the community level as well as their formal roles in the Ministry of Burkina Faso, as well as the G5 Sahel nations throughout that Senior Leaders Seminar, as well as we're out in the exercise environment, plus during the C2 operations, the role of women will be continually emphasized as part of the women's peace and security emphasis. And it's always hard to truly understand what people are taking away, but one of the key areas that we hope that the participants will walk away with is the importance of formal introduction of women in all aspects of the security sector. And that as we look at Flintlock 2019, where we are exercising special operations engagement across the Sahel, how women's roles throughout the spectrum of conflict are important to be emphasized. As we look at a lot of African nations who do not have significant numbers of women represented both at the governmental level, within their security forces, within their gendarmerie, their police forces, this is one that shows you both the importance of that role as well as encourages them to bring more women into the discussion. It was really important for me to come down and participate both in Flintlock 2019 as well as engage with my counterparts in Burkina Faso. As we have seen the security situation decline, 109% increase in violence between 2017 to 2018, it is important to look at one of our key G5 troop contributing countries and see how best we can engage to support them in this fight against violent extremist organizations. I mean, Flintlock 2019 is one where the emphasis is on special operations. We have over 34 different international organizations in foreign countries participating, both our Western partners as well as other continents. Japan is participating, international organization, and our African partners. And the desire is to build the capacity and capability of our partners to be able to engage against violence extremist organizations, as well as to the fundamentals of shooting, communicating, and fighting across the spectrum of conflict. When we look at the broad spectrum of countries that are participating, these countries are participating at a variety of different levels. For some who have advanced counterterrorism capabilities, we want to ensure that this exercise exercises them, causes them to learn new things, really pressures them to understand how to operate in a multilateral environment, in a bilateral environment, as well as unilaterally. Operating in a multilateral environment is challenging. It is always difficult to be able to command and control forces across the spectrum, dealing with a variety of different nations. One of the key areas that Flintlock will be to exercise that command and control function with a joint forces command. No, it's a key issue, the ability for our African partners to be exporters of security. So as we come into this exercise, there is a variety of different events that are taking place which will lead them to be able to demonstrate these capabilities. For many of them, they are now training other nations. So on the African continent key African partners who will be training other African partners in security and in counterterrorism. This is exactly where we are looking for African solutions to African problems. As we look to build capability and capacity across our African partners, and particularly in coordination with our allies worldwide on the fight where we have common interests to eradicate violent extremist organizations, every participant has a variety of different skill levels that they come in. What we have seen for the first time in Flintlock 2019 is African partners who will be training other African partners in counterterrorism operations. This is a success and really embodies by, with, and through and our 3D approach in AFRICOM.